approval of the minutes of the November 3rd, 2025 HLPC meeting. Approve the minutes. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? None. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nays. Ayes have it.
All right. So our first item on your regular agenda tonight is agenda item 3A, discuss and consider a historic restoration grant reimbursement for the property at 614 North Mound Street. This is HRG 2024 or 2026-004. I will tell y'all this is probably the fastest I've ever seen anyone complete their historic restoration grant, so this is wonderful. This is one y'all approved back in November. The property owner has completed the repair and replacement of rotten trim and then painting all of the new trim as well as any of the repaired trim. The estimated cost was $13,580, and the project was funded at a 16% of the final project cost, not to exceed $2,172.80. That project cost came in right at the estimate, which is $13,580. So staff recommends release of grant funds in the amount of $2,172.80. And you can also see here on the expense report where everything is expensed out correctly. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Do I have a motion? Approve the $13,580 with 16% funding of $2,172.80. Motion to release the funds. Do I have a second?
I second it.
And a second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Your next item, 3B, is discuss and consider a COA for property located at 421 North Lanana Street. This is a project that we don't see as often with HLPC, is a new build. But this property, just to remind everyone, and for those of you that were not on HLPC at the time, this property is currently vacant. There was a home there up until 2023 when HLPC approved demolition of the property that was there. The previous owner had applied under criteria C, which is demolition is sought because the structure is currently on the property poses an imminent threat to the public health or safety. And then the property was demolished. It was in very poor condition. A contractor and one of our building officials entered the property. Floor was caved in, roof was caving in, and so HLPC approved the demolition. So this is for rebuilding on that current property. The applicant is actually requesting to build 3 different structures on this property. Would be a main house, which is a pier and beam home that's going to have wood and brick exterior, a metal roof, and would be neutral colors. A detached garage that would be to the north of the home that would mimic the look of the house, and then a guest cottage directly behind the home, which would have limited street visibility but would still mimic the home in front of it. Our city ordinance criteria K relates to this, but also chapter 5 of the design guidelines that go over new builds. Some of the things that our design guidelines recommend is having a new design that maintains the typical size and shape of historic facades, but doesn't make you feel like that home has been there since 1930. We don't want to mimic history too closely, but we do want to keep with the same size, shape. We don't want the buildings to stick out like a sore thumb, essentially. Also talks about maintaining typical spacing pattern of street facades, using similar roof shapes to the neighborhood, essentially making it fit into what is around it. So on the screen in front of you, you will see some of the designs that were submitted by the applicant. It is wood and brick with a metal roof. It does look very similar to some of the properties around it, which I'll show you in the PowerPoint in a minute. But you can see the front elevation and the south elevation on this slide. The next one is the rear elevation, like if you were standing at the back of the property looking at it, and then also the north elevation. And this is all the main house. This drawing is of the guest cottage that would be directly behind it. There is a small patio area and then the guest cottage proposed behind it. And so that mimics the same look, similar roof line, and same materials as the house up front. Also, the garage, same type of thing, same materials, same colors, same roof lines, and that would be directly to the north. Those detached garages that mimic the house are very common in the Zion Hill neighborhood, which this is in. And so that would be visible from the street, but the top portion is actually what you would see from the street, and the bottom is the rear of the property, or rear of the building. You can see here, this is the site plan. North Lenana is on your right half of the screen. The home is in the front, a small patio with the cottage behind it, and then the garage directly to the north. And this is the site plan. It may seem like an interesting setup for this property, but if you look at the property from the street level, it goes up in elevation as you go back on the property. So I know the owners had quite an interesting time trying to figure out how to fit these buildings onto this property. I think it can make a beautiful back garden, but does make it interesting trying to fit these property or all these buildings on this property. These are some area photos of North Lenana Street. The one on the top left is next door to this property to the north. The one on the top right is next door to the south. And then on the bottom are just some other homes on North Lenana Street. So there is a mix of metal roofs in some of the other buildings, similar roof styles, the columns, a mix of brick and wood seems pretty common in that area. And then this is a current site picture. There's nothing there, but they will be utilizing the steps that are currently there, and then building on really essentially the only flat portion of that property in lieu of doing a ton of dirt work. And then, of course, this is the map. It is in the middle of the Zion Hill District, backs up to the back of the Washington Square District, and does not have a home on it currently or any outbuildings. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this project. Mm-hmm. I believe their intent is to put the garage on the opposite side and do a different curb cut, because even that curb cut was not well done, and it's kind of a mixed material driveway. So I do believe it's their intention to put it on the other side as long as property lines allow. Yes.
Any other questions of Jessica? Would the applicant like to come forward and say anything?
Part of downtown, and my husband and I have been waiting to do this for like 2 years. So I promise you, we will do everything to enhance the Zion Baptist Church historical area. So
Was I correct on the?
yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
ma'am. Everything was perfect. Thank
Okay,
you.
of course.
Thank you so much.
I want to make sure I didn't get anything wrong on
No,
there.
ma'am. Thank you.
When are you going to start construction, do you know?
We're hoping in March after this. So I'm going to speak to but hopefully all good.
Yeah, if you're going to have neighbors. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve COA 2025.027?
Motion, we approve COA.
Second? Second, a motion and a second. Any discussion? None, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Your next item is 3C, discuss and consider a COA for the property located at 200 North Lenana Street. This is Oak Grove Cemetery, if you didn't know what the address of the cemetery is. The applicant is Tricia Perkins with the DRT, and also the city of Nacogdoches, because of course Tricia and her group did talk to the city first. We approved internally on the staff side of this plan, and I'm bringing it forward to you today. So what they are asking to do is to place historic markers that are Stone Fort chapter of the DRT markers, designating Oak Grove Cemetery and 4 different spots inside Oak Grove as historic sites for the Republic of Texas. This is something the DRT is doing through several different sites, wanting to designate that, these are historic sites within these groups. So what they are asking to do is place 5 signs. One would be an 11-inch marker that would be placed on a pole near the entrance of Oak Grove Cemetery. And then 4 smaller markers, which are 4-inch markers, that would be placed on either post or utilizing existing poles next to the burial sites of the 4 signers of the Texas Declaration of Independence. And so those, we left it a bit open to staff interpretation. If there's existing poles near there that, have our informational signs, we'll use those. If our park staff needs to put small wooden ones in, we would do those as well. They would be level or in line with the headstones versus standing up a lot taller, because that tends to mess with the view of Oak Grove Cemetery. So we want them to fit in with the cemetery itself. Staff find that criteria B, J, and K relate to this. And we also have a map of the star is roughly where the entrance sign to Oak Grove Cemetery is. And we would either put the 11-inch marker on an existing pole, so that way we bunch a few together, or put a new post there for that sign. And then I marked the 4 signers that would have markers near their burial places. And then Ms. Perkins supplied the example of the 11-inch marker, which is in the screen in front of you. And then there's a smaller 4-inch version of that they are requesting. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And of course, Tricia's here as well.
Any questions?
I didn't know that. John, we'll give you all sorts of markers. Correct. Yes, and that's something that we did in conjunction with Friends of Historic Nacogdoches, the Bright Foundation, and several other donors years ago. That we put, if you go through Oak Grove Cemetery right now, there's directional signage, there's larger interpretive signage, and then each of the 4 signers have their own smaller sign that indicates who they are. So this won't be something out there with no interpretation to it, because we love marking history, but we also want people to know what they're looking at. Otherwise, it's a bit pointless.
Defender or vet.
I have a motion on COA 2025-029, the placement of 5 DRT markers within Oak Grove Cemetery. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Discussion? In favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
And that is all we have for you today.
We
I
will
do
now
have
adjourn.
one question. On the first one that we approved, it says 2026-004. That'd be 2025?
No, so the HRGs you do, y'all approve them in 2025 for the 2026 fiscal year for the city. This is just the very first one out of this group. He got it done very quickly.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Yes, y'all approve a year ahead, essentially.
Okay.
So it matches my fiscal year, and our auditors don't have a fit.
So when- okay.
All right, thank you all so much.